Okay. Last 2 days we discussed about introduction to international trade, and we discussed about various methods of payment and the parties to international trade. Uh, then we discussed about the import and export trends in Sri Lanka in the recent past. Under the payment methods, we discuss it in full. Two payment methods, that is open account and advanced payment. Right. Today we are going to discuss the third one. That's also this is going to be very interesting because uh, as bankers, especially a majority in the class, you guys are handling import export operations, and it's a very popular, one of the most popular uh, payment method at the moment, documentary collection. Because why I'm saying that, because these days LCs cannot be opened easily. There are so many restrictions. So because of that, the LCs, the percentage, the volume has come down. But documentary collections has gone up. Under under this documentary collection also, uh, users wants to pay at a future date, that has gone up, because that is what the government is promoting people to get the goods, not to pay, right? But our relationship will go for a 6. So today we are going to discuss the documentary collections, and unlike the previous two payment methods, documentary collections are governed by international Chamber of Commerce rules. We call it Uniform Rules for Collection, Uniform Rules for Collection, URC 522, publication 522, right? Okay, let's start the discussion. Uh, Under this topic, we are going to learn what is meant by a documentary collection, and then the nature of the instructions given by one bank to another, because the previous two payment methods were not routing through the banks. They were routing from seller to buyer. But here, the entire documentation is routing through a bank, through two banks, buyer's bank as well as the seller's bank, right? So, nature of the instructions given by one bank to another. That means, what are the instructions given by seller's bank to the buyer's bank, which buyer's bank is obliged to fulfill? The responsibilities of the parties to a collection. First, we'll have to learn the parties to a collection, and then we'll discuss about the responsibilities of the parties to a collection. Then, relationships between the parties. There are so many various parties. Unlike open account and advance payment, we will come across a lot of new terminology, right? Then the processing and monitoring of collection. This part is very important for people who are involved in international trade operation. I'm sure some of you must be handling collection bills in your respective banks. Can somebody volunteer to tell me your names who are handling collections in your respective banks? The first day when you are talking about your areas of duties, somebody mentioned to me. Hmm? Standard Chartered, there are 6 or 7 people. Any one of you, are you working in the collections, handling collections?
No, sir, there isn't anyone.
There isn't anyone. What about the other people? Sampat? Dirime? Or Gayatri of HNB? Are you handling collections? It's very
No,
strange.
sir, I'm at a branch.
Huh? Yeah,
I'm at a branch.
yeah, right. Now, very strange because a lot of people in trade, uh, we used to put them to collection when they join the department. Because even though there are certain rules and regulations, this is much easier than uh, LCs, documentary credits. So we are going to learn about the processing and monitoring of collection. This is also very, very important. We are going to discuss all the pros and cons of how to monitor these transactions. Then how documents are delivered to the buyer and how payments or acceptance is obtained from them. Right? That also we have to check, discuss. Then what happens when payment is not forthcoming? If the payment are not coming through, then what is our course of action? So those are the areas we are going to learn. Let's see documentary collection. Documentary collection is a compromise between two extreme models. That is, what are the two extreme models? Open account, advance payment. Why you say two extreme models? Why you say extreme models? First take the open account. Why you say it is one of the extremes?
Because one party has to bear all the risk while the other party doesn't.
Yes. Very good. Good answer. What's your name, Pudha?
Kevin, sir.
Kevin. Good answer, Kevin. Because one party takes a risk, right? And other party less risk. And the transactions are not governed by their respective banks, right? The advance payment is also like that. In open account, who has more risk, buyer or seller?
The seller.
Open account, seller, right? Buyer can clear out. Advance payment,
Buyer.
buyer, 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 buyer. The bank is not involved in any undertaking to pay the seller. The bank acts as an agent. But even though we say the transactions are routed through the banks are not involved in any undertaking to pay the seller, right? If the buyer pays you, they will send the money out. Otherwise, they will not send the money out. There's no payment obligation. Payment obligation by the bank. They act only as an agent, right? Now, what is happening here is the seller, what he will do is he will ship the goods. He will ship the goods and obtain the necessary documents. sorry, got a bad cough, and obtain the necessary documents. What are the documents we are talking? Now you have to think like a picture or a teledrama. Like it is the gun, the seller will ship the goods and obtain the necessary documents. So what are those documents we are talking?
Commercial invoice,
Okay.
bill of lading,
Bill of lading. Very good.
Bill of exchange.
Bill of exchange. Very good. Very good. Basically, all the trade documentation. Okay. And then he will give those documents to his bank, domicile in his country. He will give those documents to his bank and request them to send the documents to the buyer's bank. Buyer's bank. Right? Now, here, the seller's bank we call as remitting bank. Remitting bank. Normally, in our banking terminology, remitting means remitting of money. Here, the idea is different. This is remitting of documents. We are talking about the documentary collection, documents. Right? So, therefore, the exporter's bank, the seller's bank, is known as remitting bank. The other people who will remit the documents needed by the buyer to buyer's bank. The bank will send these either to their corresponding bank or their own branch in the buyer's country. Right? Those banks, the banks in buyer's country is known as collecting bank. Collecting bank. And they will request buyer to do the payment. They will request the buyer to do the payment. Right? The risk to the importer is little more than in documentary credit. But here, again, the risk to the importer is little more than in documentary credit. It's risky, but little more than in documentary credits. But risk to the exporter is much greater because he doesn't have a guarantee from a bank overseas that he will get the money. සල්ලි හම්බ වෙයි කියලා guarantee එකක් නැහැ. සල්ලි හම්බ වෙයි කියලා guarantee එකක් නැහැ. Right? ඒකින්ද always seller is at the mercy of the buyer. Buyer ගෙවුවොත් තමයි sellerට හම්බ වෙන්නේ. ඒකින්ද risky තියෙනවා. risk එක තියෙනවා. Okay? Right. Let's see the clean collection. Clean collection. It is one of the not very popular, but between certain buyers and sellers, these clean collections are also happening. Clean collection, right? Clean collection means bill of exchange, that the draft with no commercial documents. With no commercial documents. No commercial documents attached. Right? The amount of the bill may be the cost of goods, in which case the documents of title would have been sent direct to the importer. in clean collection, only the bill of exchange or draft, but no commercial documents attached. Right? This amount of the bill may be the cost of goods. All the other documentation which they need to clear the goods from the customs would have gone direct from seller to buyer. Direct from seller to buyer. But only thing, the bill of exchange or the draft, the financial document is routing through uh, seller's bank to buyer's bank. Right? Okay. Or it may be the cost of a service, such as the use of a tugboat to bring a ship into the harbor when no documents are required. Right? Even for a cost of service, we can pay a clean collection. No documentation. There's for some service we have to pay. For example, use of a tugboat to bring a ship into the inner harbor. Now, these days, you must have seen in news, even in newspapers, TV news and all, there are so many ships anchored out harbor. Anchored out harbor. Right? Petroleum ships තියෙනවා, gas නැව් තියෙනවා, අපි ඩෙමරේජ් ගෙව තියන් ඉන්නේ. අහලා තියෙනව නේද? Right. එතකොට ඒවා එළිය තියෙන නැව් ටික unloading කරනකොට ඇතුළට ගේන්න ඕන. We have to bring them into the harbor. Inner harbor. We call it inner harbor. Inner harbor කියනකොට අරගොල්ලෝ නිකම්ම එන්න බෑ නවට inner harbor එකට. It has to be guided by a tugboat. Guided by a tugboat. ඒ tugboat එකට අපි සල්ලි ගෙවන්න ඕන. අනේ වගේ ඒවට තමයි මේ clean collections bills ගොඩක් වෙලාවට එන්නේ. Right? Another one is ordinary checks that the bank sends for collection. Ekak එන්නේ clean collection. Now, for example, something like this. කවුද අපි ගන්නේ? අපි තමු Nilakshi from SCB. Nilakshi, for your birthday, right? We are not asking you when is your birthday. For your birthday, your uncle in USA is sending one of his checks. One of his checks. As a birthday present. But a birthday card that you know, uncle gave. Uncle gave birthday card that you know. He actually $50 check. Uncle gave me check. $50 check. Can you get it in cash from Standard Chartered Bank? That check. Can you get it in cash?
No.
No. Why? පුතේ අපි ඩිස්කස් කරමු. මේක තමයි ලේසි විදිහ ඉගෙන ගන්න. ලැජ්ජ වෙන්න එපා. වැරදුනට කමක් නැහැ. Will the bank encash it and give you the money? Like an ordinary check. Will they do it? Others can join the conversation. No? Will they join? Yeah.
So is the check addressed to, or is it a blank check?
Not a bank check.
Blank.
When somebody is issuing his own check, so uncle has written the thing, cash, or pay Nilakshi, Nilakshi Perrao, Nilakshi Fernando, Nilakshi Dusilla, one full name Megadala, Emanathan cash, check Evano uncle for Nilakshi's birthday. Yeah, checkbook again, yeah, Kadalevan. Lila.
So is the check crossed?
Should be collected
An
into
order
an
check
account.
or bearer check?
Yeah, it has to be collected to an account. You can't pay cash over the counter. You can't pay cash over the counter. You have to send that check to USA, New York, for clearing. Now, in normal rupee check, when we receive a check, right, Nilakshi can deposit that check to the account. Then whatever the bank will send the check for clearing. Right? Clearing ගිහිල්ලා පහුවෙන්දර අපිට proceed සම් වෙනවා. දැන් මේකත් අපිට යවන්න ඕන collection එක. Collection යවන්න ඕන මේ අපේ local central bank collection අරින්න බෑනේ. We have to send it to New York. We call it, we have to collect the check. We have to collect the check. Right? Check collection solely. That is also a clean collection. Only the financial document is there. Only the financial document. Right? No other supporting documents. Right? If there are no
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Right. Then direct collection. Direct collection. Now it is not much popular, very rare, right? Exporters may simply send their collections directly to the overseas collecting bank without involving their own domestic bank. We call it direct collection. Unfortunately, I don't have a board to draw these things and explain. Right? Next week, if I go to IBSL, then I can do the lecture from there. Then I can use the board. What about my fuel issue? Car again, petrol ගන්න කොහෙන්ද නේද? අපි දැන් ගෙවල් වල හිර වෙලා ඉන්නේ. කාර් එකේ පෙට්‍රල් ගහන්න තිබුණා නම් ඇත්තටම මම යනවා IBSL එකට ගිහිල්ලා ඇවිද අපිට මේ ඇඳලා කරලා මේ කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකත් ලේසි නෑ දැන්. Right. So sometimes, now again, to understand this, shall we take some example? Exporter is Kevin. Now Kevin is in Sri Lanka. Right? So Kevin is having his account with Bank of Sri Lanka. So he has to send the documents to his bank, Bank of Sri Lanka. Bank of Sri Lanka will send the documents to Dubai. Right? The customers, the seller, the buyer's bank is Emirates Bank, Dubai. Right? The Emirates Bank, Dubai වලට යවන්න ඕන කොහොමද? check එක through commercial bank. That's their bank. Right? Seller's bank. But here what is happening is Kevin will send the documents without giving to the his bank, remitting bank. He send the document direct to Emirates Bank, bypassing his own bank. Right? Those type of collections are called direct collections. Those type of collections are called direct collections. the overseas bank would act as the agent of the exporter and obtain the proceeds. Right? But here there are certain drawbacks from an exporter's point of view. Now, what Kevin has done is without giving the documents to his bank, the remitting bank, Bank of Ceylon, he has sent directly to the seller's bank, Emirates Bank. Right? දැන් මේ පඬිත වැඩේ හින්දා මේ future correspondence කායකද කරන්න ඕනේ? Kevin, can he go to his bank and ask him to, if the money has not come, can he request his bank to follow up with the collecting bank? No, he can't, right? Because all the correspondence and follow-ups are directly with the overseas bank, which Kevin doesn't have any contacts, right? So there may be certain difficulties to exporter to trace payment of bills proceeds. The documents are not checked by the exporter's bank again. So there may be certain discrepancies. So because of that, it's not a advisable thing, right? Direct collection, right? ඒකෙන්ද මේ වැඩිය මාකට් එකේ මේක වෙන්නේ නැහැ. Right. Documentary collection means bill of exchange or draft with shipping documents. Bill of exchange or draft with shipping documents. That is, we call documentary collection. Right? The attached documents include the documents of title, that is bill of lading, which the importer needs to clear the goods. Right? Then the settlement of the bill can be on DP or DA terms. What do you mean by DP?
On site,
Documents
sir.
against payment.
What do you mean by DP? DP කියන එකට
Documents against payment.
documents against payment. Very good. Documents against payment. Or DA?
Documents against acceptance.
Documents against acceptance. Good. So banks do not give any undertaking or assume any liability on their own account. They can effectively arrange to monitor each transaction. Right? The commercial documents may or may not include the transport documents or may not include financial documents. Right? So මේකේ LC එකක් නැහැනේ මේක මේ විදිහටම කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඉතින් ඒකින්ද අපිට පුළුවන් විදිහට අපි යවනවා. Right? Now, very important thing I want to tell you. At the beginning, I explained to you entire collection operations will be governed by ICC regulation. ICC, Uniform Rules for Collection. URC 522. Uniform Rules for Collection. URC 522. Right? ඒ booklet එක මම upload කරලා තියෙනවා system එකට. You all have to get a printout of URC 522. Get a printout. මේක refer කරගෙන යන්න බෑ. Right? Printout එක කරන් printout එක ළඟින් තියාගන්න. And you have to study the articles and then try to grab whatever the information you can. There are 26 articles in this URC 522. Likewise, when it comes to LCs, LCs are governed by another set of rules. We call it Uniform Customs and Practices, UCP. Uniform Customs and Practices, UCP. Right? ඒකේ තියෙනවා 39 articles. URC, we have 26 articles. The articles 26යි 39යි කීයද ඔක්කොම 65ක් නේ 65 articles. You all have to learn by heart if you want to get through the exam. Right? If you want to be a good trade practitioner, you have to learn those articles by heart. By heart කියන්නේ මේ word to word කටපාඩම් කරන්න එක නෙමෙයි. You have to learn what are there in those articles and how the applicability of that article. එතකොට අර ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගාව පොත තියෙනවා නම් print එකේ තියෙනවා නම් ඒ rules වල then you can refer. But otherwise you can't go from beginning to the end and again end to the beginning. එහාට මෙහාට පොත පෙරලා ඉඳලා හරියන්නේ නෑ. ඊකට බලමු දැන් කොහොමද මේක පාඩම් කරන්න කියලා. කොහොමද මේක පාඩම් කරන්න කියලා. Right? My advice to all the trade guys, right? I mean, I did this when I was the head at Standard Chartered, and I took that best practice to HSBC when I joined HSBC and when I worked in Middle East, right? Because what I started at Standard Chartered Colombo was one of the very effective one. I don't know whether it is happening now. Every 2 days a week. මට මතකද මම ඩිස්කස් කළේ Mondays busy නේ. Tuesdays and Thursdays. We spent about 15 minutes or maximum 20-25 minutes, not half an hour, to discuss these rules one by one with the entire team, entire trade. Right? Those discussions were done by you people. And you people කියලා අපෝ කියවෙන්නේ මගේ දැන් ඔළුවේ යන්නේ මම තාම බැංක් එකේ ඉන්නවයි කියලා. ස්ටාෆ් එක තමයි මේක ඩිස්කස් කරන්නේ. මම පළවෙනි එක විතරක් ඩිස්කස් කරලා මම බලන් ඉන්නවා ඊට පස්සේ ඒගොල්ලෝ තමයි මේවා ඩිස්කස් කරගෙන යන්නේ. Right? Are there any people in Standard Chartered who has been there for more than 2 years or 3 years? ඉන්නවද මේ ළමයි කොහොම අලුත් ළමයිද? 2 years, 3 years.
Are you referring to trade alone?
No, not trade. In the bank.
Because I've been in the bank for 2 years.
Yes.
Myself and Nishadi. Nishadi has been in the bank for around, I think, 7 years.
7 years. So Nishadi, is Nishadi there today?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Nishadi, have you, do you know your former COO, Mr.
Janaka?
Janaka
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Janaka Serasinghe was one time when I was the head at HSBC Dubai. He was one of my clerks, like you people. Right? This story I'm telling you to encourage people if you like to learn how you can come up in the ladder, this is a classic story. Today, Janaka is in Australia. When I joined HSBC, he was there. He was my LC opening clerk. Right? And I migrated the best practice, what I did at Standard Chartered, that's discussing the articles, discussing these articles on a daily, twice a week, 15 minutes. අපි හැමදාම එනවා මෙහෙ වගේ නෙමෙයි ඩුබායි වල ට්‍රාන්ස්පෝර්ට් නැහැනේ. එතන බැංක් එකේ ට්‍රාන්ස්පෝර්ට් එක තියෙනවා. එතන බැංක් ට්‍රාන්ස්පෝර්ට් එකේ තියෙන ඉඳ ලේසිය. ඔක්කොම එක වෙලාවට බැංකුවට එනවා. වාහන බයික් එක පරක් වුණා, බයික් එක ඇක්සිඩන්ට් වුණා, පාරේ වාහනයක් අපේ වාහනේ තෙල් නැතුව නැවතුණා. ඒක මොකුත් නැහැ. තෙල් නැත්තම් නෑම තමයි මුළු ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකම නැහැ. right? I think we can discuss now. The first article I discussed, and by that time I knew the abilities of Janaka. So I asked Janaka to do the second article. Likewise, the third one to another person, B. Fourth one, C. Fifth one, D. Right? එක එක ආටිකල් එකම එක එකනට බෙදුවා 26 දෙනාට 26 දිනට ආටිකල් 26 වටේට රොටේට් වෙවි එනවා. Everybody was watching. මම ජනකව ජජ් කරපින්න තමයි මම ගත්තේ. When Janaka did the article 2, he did it in such a fantastic manner, right? Like what I am explaining, he did it. Then the article 3, that was a multi-ethnic staff. No? So that guy had to do. It was අනිත් D C that he has to do the article 4 කියලා. දැන් ඔක්කොම දැන් ready පිට ඉන්නේ. මම කලින් දීලා තියෙන්නේ. So they are studying. They are studying because they have to do the presentation. It is not just reading, right? Presentation. They have to analyze it, the article. I saw all my staff guys were talking to Janaka and getting his support to do the presentation. PowerPoint මුකුත් නැහැ නිකන් කොහොමද කියන්නේ කියන එක. Meeting එකේද අපි group discussion එකේ කරන්නේ. So Janaka was guiding them with all the pros and cons. So likewise, once we finish URC 522, then I started discussing UCP 600. All the difficult articles I gave it to Janaka. He did it in such an immaculate manner. Right? Antimedi, after discussions, I promoted Janaka to officer grade, supervisor grade. Then after 2-3 months' time, he was just a supervisor, not even an officer. We had this trade trainer vacancy. Trade trainer for entire Middle East. Right? Trade trainer, including Colombo. Right? You know, the requirement was, the basic qualification was, they have to be in the bank for more than 5 years, and you have to be a staff officer 1 grade, SO1 grade, because this particular position was SO2 grade. Right? Antimata Janaka apply කරන්න බෑ. He was just a supervisor. I told the training head, He was a white guy. I told him, if you want to get the best trainer, I am having the best trainer, trade trainer, right? But he's still in your supervisor grade. If you give him a chance, you can judge him. Just give him a chance to do his presentation. So he listened to me and he gave Janakas a break. The way Janaka has done his presentation, he was so impressed. We immediately promoted him to SO1 and gave him the job. That was the rising of Janaka. From there, how he has ended up at SCP Colombo. I'm the one who got him to SCP Colombo because I was asked by the management to take over the department again. I said, no, I will never come back to a place where I have worked earlier, right? If you want the best guy, I'll give you the best guy. And I gave Janaka, right? And he ended up, if he was there, without resigning, if he was with you, he would have ended up as CEO, definitely. So this is how you also, I relate this story of a person who is known to you to encourage you, right? The importance of the study. After that, Janaka and myself, we both got together and we trained all the trade guys in HSBC to obtain their CDCS certifications. Right? අපි දෙන්න තමයි පටන් අරගෙන ඔය කරගෙන ඉන්නේ. තාම එහෙනම් බස් ඉඳ මට අද මම මෙතන ඉන්නවා කියලා කියන්න ජනකට guts තියෙනවා even from Australia. Right? අනේ ඒක තමයි හොඳම දේ. ඉතින් මම ඔයගලට කියන්නේ දැන් මේ URC fileable එක අද ඉඳන් අද not tomorrow. Right? You have to start studying this. The easiest way is, unfortunately, we can't discuss it every day or twice a week. I will entrust you another method. This method has benefited a lot of people. Right? Every day, whether it's early morning or evening, select a time of 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes a day. Put on the 10 minutes a day. 10 minutes. I am not asking for hours. 10 minutes put on there.
Yeah, can, sir.
Yes, can. The best timing is when you come to the department, before you start the work, before you start your daily routine work, right? Spend about 5 minutes or 10 minutes to read one article. තනියෙන් කියවන්න. ඔක මං කියන්නේ print out එකක් ගන්න එක print out එකේ copy එක ලාච්චේ තියාගන්න. හැමදාම අර සමහර ගොඩක් මම දැකලා තියෙන හොඳ දෙයක් තියෙනවා Catholics ලගේ. Before they start the work, they read එක පැර එකක් කියවනවා බයිබල් එකේ. ඒ වගේ තමයි. ඒ වගේ මේකත් කියවන්න. මේකත් බයිබල් එකක් වගේ. හැමදාම එක ආටිකල් එකක් කියවන්න. එක ආටිකල් එක දෙකක් එපා. හරි? දවස් 26න් ඉවරයි. ඊට පස්සේ 2 days rest එකක් ගන්න. Again start from article 1. ඔය වෙනකොට දැන් අර UCP 600 පස්සෙන් ඇවිල්ලා. ඒතර ඒකෙන් එකයි මේකෙන් එකයි. එක්කෝ අර බේත් බොර වගේ කෑමට පෙර කෑමට පසු වගේ එක්කෝ එකක් උදේට අනිත් එක හවසට. ගෙදර ගිහිල්ලා බුදියන්න ඉස්සලා පොඩ්ඩක් බලන්න. Definitely, if you do it like this, you don't have to worry about answering the question number 3 and 4. And you can pass the exam with flying colors. right? ඒ දෙක ඕන. ඒ දෙක UCP URC එක හොඳට බලන්න ඕන. කටපාඩම් කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. ඔළුවේ තියාගත්තා නම් ඇති. right? අපි discuss කරනවා. right? Agreed? I hope you will do it. Huh? Right. Now, this article, we'll discuss the articles one by one. When we refer to URC 522, Article 1 outlines that the rules will apply when incorporated into text of a collection instructions. This follows the principles in all ICC rules that they only apply if the transaction is made subject to their application. Right? Now, one by one, articles කියවලා බලමු පස්සේ. මම එනේවා මම රෙඩ් එකෙන් දාලා තියෙන්නේ whatever the articles. Article 2 defines the meaning of collection and outlines the concept of financial and commercial documents. Right? Okay. Then, මේක පොඩ්ඩක් අපි බලමුද තව එකක්. මම rules ටික ගත්තා. Can you see these rules? Can you see the rules?
Yes, it's good.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you can learn. Right. Now, this has been uploaded to your study pack, right? Get a printout of this, right? Here we are talking about the Article 1, right? Article 1 says application of URC 522. Article 2 is definition of correction. What is correction? Then we talk about Article 2B. What are the financial documents? What are the commercial documents? And C, Article C says, 2C says clean collection. 2D talks about documentary collection, right? Then Article 3 talks about parties to a collection. Parties to a collection. What are the parties to a collection? Right. Now here, parties to a collection. One party is the seller, exporter, or drawer. There are so many names, seller. Another name for the seller is exporter. Another name is drawer. Why you say drawer? Why you say drawer? Drawer what? Last week we studied this. He is the drawer of bill of exchange. Bill of exchange is prepared by him, right? And another name is principal. we call him principal. Why principal? In a school, principal is the head. All the children has to obey principal. He gives the instructions. He gives the instructions to the teachers. He gives the instructions to the parents. Right? So, likewise, in collection, seller is the one who gives the instructions, how to handle his collection. Then the remitting bank. Remitting bank is seller's bank. In other words, party that sends the collection. Exporter's bank. Collecting bank. Collecting bank is generally a bank in the buyer's country, domicile in buyer's country. Right? For example, if Standard Chartered Dubai is sending documents to Standard Chartered Colombo, a customer of Standard Chartered Colombo, then Standard Chartered Colombo will be the collecting bank. Right? There's another party, we call it presenting bank. Presenting bank. Now, sometimes, this is what I ask you, are you working in collection? Are you handling collection bills? Every can collection bills handle make up a right. Presenting bank. Presenting bank that makes the documents available to the buyer or the drawee in terms of the instructions received. The methanapodi make up the collecting bank, if SCB is sending documents to a customer of SCB Colombo, then SCB Colombo will be the collecting bank. A presenting bank, now if the customer is having an account with Sampad Bank, Sampad Bank trade, right? So, when SCB Dubai sends the documents to Colombo, they will send it to their own branch. That is their group policy, right? From SCB Dubai to SCB Colombo. So SCB Colombo is the collecting bank. But the customer of Sampad Bank will tell you, no way, I don't want to go to the SCB Colombo to collect the documents. I have nothing to do with them. One lousy bank, right? My bank is Sampad Bank. So I want my documents to be delivered to me by Sampad Bank. Then SCB Colombo has to send the documents to Sampad Bank to deliver to the customer. So then Sampad Bank will be the presenting bank, whoever makes the documents available to the buyer. Clear? Are you clear about the two, the difference between the collecting bank and the presenting bank? Right? But in most cases, 95% of the time, collecting bank and the presenting bank is the same bank. ගොඩක් වෙලාට අපි අපේ correspondent bank එකේ තියෙන තැනට අරක එවනවා. හරි. ගොඩක් වෙලාට දෙකම එකයි. Right. And the other party is the buyer. Another names for buyer is importer or drawee. Drawee of the bill of exchange. Right. Refer URC 522. URC 522 එකේ article 3 එක කියවලා බලන්න. article 3 එක කියවම ඔයාලට මේක ගන්න පුළුවන්. Article 3 lists all the parties involved, right? All the 5 are mentioned. Although,
Sir,
yeah,
If it is under DP terms,
Yeah.
presenting bank is liable for the payment or collecting bank?
Presenting bank.
Presenting bank.
Presenting bank. Good question. Very good question. Who asked that question?
My name is Amaresh from Ceylon Bank, sir.
Very good, Amresh. Very good. Good question. Very good question. The responsibility lies with the presenting bank, right? Okay. Then there may be often only be 4 parties involved because there may or may not be a separate presenting bank. Right? Right. Now I have given the collection cycle of site bill, site collection. Can you spend about 2-3 minutes to go through this? Numbers තියෙනවනේ. ඒ numbers පිළිවෙලට ඒ order එකට බලන්න ඉස්සලාම, for example, there is an importer and exporter. Between them, we have the commercial contract or sales contract, right? එතන ඉඳන් බලාගෙන යන්න මොකද්ද ඊගාට number 2 මොකද්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ, number 3 මොකද්ද? ඒ වගේ you study this cycle. Take a time about even 2 minutes, 3 minutes is okay because you have to digest this. You have to digest this, right? If possible, if you have a piece of paper and a pen, after going through the whole thing, try to keep it in a memory and then try to do it on your own. කොලේක ඇඳලා බලන්න මතකෙන් යන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා. Right? Take 2-3 minutes. I don't mind. But I want everybody to go through it and personally try to understand. Then we'll discuss. Right? Okay. Now this is the collection cycle of a site bill. Site collection. Right? That means DA or DP.
DP.
DP bill. Right? So as I said earlier, between the buyer and the seller, we have the commercial contract. Then according to the commercial contract, the seller will ship the goods. The seller will ship the goods. Seller will ship the goods and give the documents to his bank, submit the documents to his bank, that is, uh, uh, give the bill of exchange and other uh, financial as well as commercial documents to his bank. We call that bank a remitting bank. Then the remitting bank will send the documents to the presenting bank domiciled in importer's country, right? Presenting or collecting bank. In most cases, it is the collecting and presenting bank, right? And presenting bank is the one who present the documents to the importer. So he will inform the presenting bank. For example, if the customer's bank is Sampath Bank or Ceylon Bank, so Amresh will inform the customer, Mr. Perra, you have received a set of collection bills. Then he will give the instructions to the bank. Okay, it's DP, documents against payment. I need the documents. I was waiting for the documents. Please release the document. Then what we will do is we will debit the customer's account and release the documents to the customer. Why we debit customer's account is, as a presenting bank, we have an obligation to remit the money to the remitting bank. Remit the money to the remitting bank. So when the customer, the importer, collects the document with bill of lading and all, he will go to the customs and then clear the goods. Meanwhile, the presenting bank, they will send the money, they will send the money to the remitting bank, right? The remitting bank will deduct their charges for what they have done, because banks are not downsell or anybody, right? Everything what we do, we charge, right? Then they will release the documents to the exporter. Sorry, they will release the money to the exporter. Release the money to the exporter, right? And here, remitting bank as well as collecting and presenting banks, they are monitoring and guiding the transaction. But no party will give any undertaking to pay. What they will do is, if they give the money, they will send. If they don't give the money, we will inform the bank, sorry, we haven't received the money, right? So there's no responsibility, no obligations. Okay. This is the collection product cycle of DA bill, documents against acceptance. Take another 1 or 2 minutes to go through this one. Again, go by the steps 1, 2, 3, 4. right? 1 is okay, 2 same as DP, 3 same as DP, 4 same. Remitting bank will send the documents to the collecting or presenting bank. Then present means they will inform the customer that we have received a set of documents. Right. After that, he will say, I will accept the draft. I will accept the draft. When he accepts the draft, we will give the documents. Payment will be at a future date. Right? Only thing is he has to accept the draft. ඒක තමයි අපිට instruction එක තියෙන්නේ export එක. Right? We give the documents to the importer. Then the importer will take the documents and go to the customs and clear the bill. Sorry, clear the goods and obtain the goods, exchanging the bill of lading. Right? Then on the maturity, the importer will pay. On the maturity, importer will pay. So once the importer pays us, then we will deduct our charges and we will send the money to the remitting bank. So the remitting bank also, they will deduct their charges and send the money to or release the money to the exporter. Right? මෙහෙම තමයි DP එකේ DA එකේ වෙන්නේ. Right? Okay. Any questions? Any questions? මොකද මෙතන හිර වුණොත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉස්සරහට ඔක්කොම හිර යනවා. මම 10 පාරක් හරි කියලා දෙන්නම්.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So let's say the importer is not paying on time.
Mm.
So the exporter can directly sue the importer, right?
Yeah.
So in the LC, he can sue the bank as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Here the bank is not liable for any payment. Okay. If we receive the money, we will pay. If not, no. Okay. Right. Now we'll see what are the relationships between the parties. Relationships between the parties. Principal and the remitting bank. Who are they? Who is remitting bank? Whose bank?
Buyer's bank.
Huh?
Exporters bank.
Exporters bank.
Exporter.
Exporters bank. Remitting bank is the exporters bank. So we are going to now we are going to discuss the relationship between principal and the and his bank. Principal and his bank. We call that bank remitting bank. Right? Remitting bank acts as an agent for the principal or exporter or seller. So remitting bank acts as an agent. Agent connect may I add current. Therefore, the remitting bank must not act outside the instructions of the principal. So if you are acting as an agent of the principal, then you have to be guided by, or you have to obey the rules of the principal. So you should not act outside the instructions of the principal. Right? If the remitting bank acts outside the instructions given in respect of the collection, if he has done a thing like that, it does so on its own responsibility and will be responsible to the principal in respect of such actions. Right? Will be responsible to the principal in respect of such actions. So, in simple, the remitting bank should be guided only by the instructions received from the principal or the export. Right? When a කවුරුකත් කියනවට ගොඩක් කියන්නේ නෑ. If the remitting bank acts strictly in accordance with the instructions of the principal, then it is not responsible or liable to the principal in any way. So if you have done whatever they have been asked to do, right? Excellent. And then remitting bank had a buy on the net. Right? Okay. Then we'll see remitting bank and the collecting bank. Remitting bank is whose bank? Remitting bank is whose bank?
Principal's bank.
Principal. Collecting bank?
Importers.
Importers bank. Importers. Right? Okay. Let's see what are the relationship. The collecting bank must act strictly on instructions by the remitting bank. So remitting bank has to act strictly on the instruction received by the principal. You got a collecting bank again, they must act strictly on the instructions received by the remitting bank. ඒ කියන්නේ කවුද දැන් අන්තිමටම කාගේ ඉන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන්ද මේ ෆලෝ වෙන්න ඕනේ?
Principal.
Principals. Very important. Right? Very important. මෙන්න මේ කියවල බලන්න මේක හොඳ කැලලක් යනවා. ඔය සම්පූර්ණ කියවල ඉවරලා ඔය ඇනලයිස් කරලා ගන්න බලන්න. බැංක්ස් වල ඔයගොල්ලෝ කරන ලොකු වැරද්දක්. මට ඒක හයිලයිට් කරගන්න උතන ඕන කරලා තිබුණා. කියවල. දැන් මට කියන්න බලන්න. මේක මොකද්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ තේරුම් ගත්තේ? The collecting bank must act strictly on the instruction by the remitting bank, irrespective of its own relationship, if any, with the buyer. Now, collecting banks is always having good relationship with the buyer. That's the buyer's bank. Buyer buyer අපි තුමු මේ අපේ කස්ටමර් අපිත් එක්ක හරි හොඳයි. right? අපි හිතනවා කස්ටමර් ඇවිල්ලා මගේ බැංක් එකේ හැන්ඩල් කරන බෝයිගේ හරි ගර්ල්ගේ හරි මේ මාමාගේ කම්පැනි එක. So that relationship is very strong. Uncle's company. So because of that, the instructions you received from the remitting bank and the principal is, okay, you release the documents against payment. Release the documents against payment. DP. Right? හැබැයි අංකල් ලෙවල කියනවා මේක මට මේ කරන්න බෑ right දැන් ඔතේ සල්ලිත් නෑ මේක දාන්න DA වලට දාලා මාක් කරන්න මම DA වලට සල්ලි ගෙනල්ලා දෙන්න එහෙම බෑ අංකල්ට ඕන විදිහට අපිට වැඩ කරන්න බෑ අපේ රිලේෂන්ෂිප් එක වෙනස් right ඔයගේ දේවල් හරියට වෙනවා බැංක්ස් වල හරියට වෙනවා ඔක ගොඩක් වෙන්නේ අපේ ට්‍රේඩ් ස්ටාෆ් එක මැනේජර්ස්ලට ඔෆිසර්ස්ලට ක්ලිනිකල් ස්ටාෆ් එකට නම් අඩුයි ඔක වෙනවා ඉයර් එන්ඩ් එකට මොනවාරි ප්‍රසන්ට් හම්බ වෙනවා ඉතින් ඒකෙන්ද you are under obligation to those people ඉතින් මොකද්ද අර ඉන්ස්ට්‍රක්ෂන්ස් වලට against යනවා so you are responsible purely responsible right The collecting bank is liable to the remitting bank if it acts outside the instructions given by the remitting bank. Right? Understood. The remitting bank is liable to pay the collecting bank for any charges, expenses incurred in carrying out their instructions. This is another interesting point. The remitting bank is liable to pay the collecting bank for any charges or expenses. Now, sometimes the buyer will say, okay, I will take the goods. I will pay this money, but don't ask me the commission. Commission part I will not pay. Right? The commission back, මං බිලේ කැපිටල් එක මං ගෙවන්නම් කියනවා. එතන අපිට මොකද්ද පාඩුව? collecting bank එකට පාඩුව. Then we can inform the remitting bank, and remitting bank is liable to pay us our overheads, the bank's overheads. Right? Any outstanding charges they will pay. Right. Then we'll see collecting bank and the presenting bank. In most cases, I told you, collecting bank and the presenting bank is one and same. But sometimes it may be two different banks. Right? The presenting bank must follow the instructions given to it by the collecting bank. Then අපි හිතමු remitting banking අපි instructions අපි cascade කරනවා remitting presenting bank එකට presenting bank එකට යනකොට සම්පත් බැංකුවේ තියෙන presenting bank එකට instructions Standard Chartered යනකොට Standard Chartered will be the collecting bank, Sampath Bank will be the Sampath Bank will be the presenting bank. So whatever the instructions we have to, the collecting bank has to deliver. Right? Collecting bank has to obey the instructions they have received from the principal. Principal and the buyer, exporter and the importer. Right? Exporter and the importer. The basic relationship is in terms of the sales contract. Right? The basic relationship is in terms of the sales contract between them. Okay. What are the preliminary steps for each of the parties? The exporter. Exporter makes inquiries about buyer and agrees contract with buyer. Right? Exporter makes inquiries about buyer and agree contract with buyer. Then make inquiries regarding the buyer's country. Very important. The exporter must always inquire about the buyer's country because there's a risk, buyer's risk. Country risk is there. For example, particularly in Sri Lanka today, we have plus plus. Our country risk is plus plus. Right? There's no guarantee that the payment, even though the importer wants to pay, there's no guarantee that the payment will go through. Right? Because of that, before you enter into a transaction, you have to do a feasibility study. In that feasibility study, it has to cover the country risk also, the buyer's country risk also. And they have to agree on shipping terms between the buyer and seller. They have to agree on shipping terms. Ship the goods as requested by the buyer. Ship the goods as requested by the buyer. Right? Then submit the documents to his bank. Submit the documents to his bank with his instructions on how and when the buyer should pay. The terms of payment would have been agreed already between the buyer and the seller. Right. The remitting bank. Remitting bank is whose bank? Exporter's bank. Know your customer to ensure that it does not unwittingly get dragged into issues which could have been negative impact on his reputation. Yeah, right? Ensure that the exporter has given full instructions to enable the collection to be handled effectively. Right? Okay. Check that the documents are consistent with each other. Another important thing. Ensure that the documents are consistent with each other. Right? Then send the documents to a bank in the buyer's country with the instructions on collecting bank. Send the documents to a bank in the buyer's country with instructions on collecting payment. Right? Okay. Set up internal control procedures to monitor the collection. Right? Internally, we have to have our own bank to bank. It might get changed, but basically, payments take off bank කොහොමද මේක මොනිටර් කරන්න කියලා අපි කරලා තියාගන්න ඉන්න ඕන. Okay. Pay the exporter when it receives the payment from the collecting bank. Okay. Collecting bank and the presenting bank. Collecting bank and the presenting bank. Collecting bank acts as the remitting bank's agent and therefore should examine the collections instructions carefully. Ensure that the number of documents received is as stated in the collection instructions. Right? Present the bill to the buyer for payment or acceptance. Okay. Release the documents to the buyer when the exporter's instructions have been followed. Remit the proceeds of the bill according to the remitting bank schedule. Right? Remit the proceeds of the bill according to the remitting bank's schedule instructions, usually less any charges. Usually less any charges. The importer. Importer, before we get into a transaction, we have to inquire about the exporter with particular references to, right? Before we do get involved in a contract, we have to do a feasibility study of the importer also, right? His reliability and trustworthiness. His reliability. Then the length of time he has been in business. The mushroom company, right? His good reputation for quality and honoring delivery dates. His good reputation for quality and honoring delivery dates. මේකෙන් නම් කස්ටමර් කොහොමත් හොඳ TTයට අපි වගේ රටක දැන් මේ වෙනකොට අපිට දෙන්න බෑ ඊයත් දෙන්න මේ කොහොමද මේ delivery dates වෙනවද නැද්ද කියන එක අපිටත් දැන් හිතාගන්න බැරි තත්ත්වයක් තියෙන රටේ. right? එතෙන්දී හරි වර්ෂයක් වෙන්න ඕන. නැත්නම් අපි blacklist වෙනවා. Details of any financial information available on him. Right? So the best thing is to get a trade customer report. TCR report. TCR කියන්නේ trade customer report. Informal inquiries within the trade sector. Informal inquiries within the trade sector. This is very important. You have to tell your customers when they come to the bank. I mean, Standard Chartered guys, I think you will be surprised. I left the bank in 1997. 97 can over hamara ibidrat nahi the. I left Standard Chartered. But still, those customers I have served are, whenever I see them on the streets or whenever I visit them in their companies, they will come to me and call. Right? ඒක වෙන්න මොකද මම හැමතිස්සෙම කස්ටමර්ස් අත් එක්ක හරියට හරි දේ කරපින්න. They loved me. මෙන්න මේකත් ඒගොල්ලන්ට කියන්න ඕන එකක් තමයි, always before you start the business, right, whatever the business, try to get some informal inquiries about the other parties. Informal inquiries. Right? Informal inquiries කියන්නේ මොනවාද? උදාහරණයක් කියන්න බලන්න. Informal inquiries. හොඳ සිංහල වචනක් තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද? කාටද පුළුවන්ද?
Gossips.
Gossips. ඔපදුප. හරිද? මේ වටේ බලන්න වෙනවා. මේ වෙනකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ කස්ටමර්ස්ලා කී දෙනෙක්ගේ බිස්නස් වල සිටුේෂන්ස් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට gossip ශෛලිය තියෙනවද? Just imagine. කොච්චර gossip ශෛලිය තියෙනවද? ඕව අපි ඩිස්කවුන්ට් කරන්න හොඳ නැහැ. හරි ඉම්පෝර්ටන්ට්. Very important. You gotta මගේ තව කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක් ඒ අරයත් එක්ක ඩීල් කරනවා නම් you have to inform them, you have to tell them, okay please මේ වගේ පොඩි rumors එනවා හැබැයි ඒකින්ද පරිස්සමෙන් මට තාම මගේ කස්ටමර්ස්ලා මට තෑන්ක් කරන්න ඒක අපිට දීපු ඇඩ්වයිස් එක නම් කියලා දෙයක් නම් කොහොම හරි අපි මේ බේරුණා ඒවෙන් කියලා right pay the bills or promise to pay later prompt payment right take the shipping documents unless it is a clean bill and PIG goods right okay delivery of financial and commercial documents and the risk involved. One risk is DP risk. If the importer refuses to pay, DP, if the importer refuses to pay, the collecting bank acts on the importer's, exporter's instructions shown in the remitting bank schedule. This instruction could include remove the goods from the port to a warehouse and insure them against fire, etc. Contact the case of need who may negotiate with the importer, right? Protest the bill through the bank's lawyers. Protest the bill through banks' lawyers. The protesting and case of need is something which is important. We have to discuss in detail. I'm going to discuss those things later along with the respective URC 522 articles. Right? Okay. DA risk. Under DA terms, the importer accepts the bill for payment on the due date. Take the documents and clear the goods. From that time, the exporter has lost the control of the documents. Right? The exporter runs into various risks. One is the importer might refuse to pay on the due date. Right? If the importer might refuse to pay. Right? Because he finds that the goods are not what he had ordered. So because of that, he said he will not pay. He had not been able to sell the goods. Another thing he will say, tell us is, sorry, I know that the other guy wanted me to send the money. Exporter need to send the money to money immediately, but unfortunately I couldn't sell the goods. They are still in my warehouse. So please give us some time. Right? He is prepared to cheat the exporter. From the day one, that guy is prepared to cheat the exporter. In these cases, the exporter can protest the bill and take the imported goods, but this can be very expensive. Protesting a bill is very, very expensive. Right? But anyway, we have to learn this. What is protesting? The importer might have gone bankrupt. The importer might have gone bankrupt. In which case, the exporter will probably or will never get his money. මේක මටත් වෙලා තියෙනවා මගේ කස්ටමර්ස් අත ඕන තරම්. They have gone bankrupt. Banks' role and in their income in collection operations, right? The bank's role, both the remitting bank and the collecting bank acts as agents of the exporter, protecting the exporter's interest, right? Their first responsibility is to the exporter, even if the importer is a customer of the collecting bank, right? Then banks have no financial interest in an ordinary collection. The remitting bank may finance the exporter if it is confident that the importer will pay. But this does not affect the collecting bank in any way, right? Banks provide a trade and credit information, TCI reports. Okay, TCI reports, trade and credit information, service to each other and for the benefit of the customer. Through the TCI reports system, we can do more findings on the other party. Customers, both exporters and importers, could be encouraged to use this service regularly for their own protection. Right? Okay. Bank's income. Income for the bank accrues in several ways under the collection. Foreign exchange profit, right? Foreign exchange profit, we have to do the payment in dollars, right? So in the foreign exchange profit tag, the spread between the buy and sell rates, right? Normally it is about 4%, 4 digits, but nowadays it's about 10 digits. Commission and handling charges. Commission and handling charges. So every time when we do these things, there will be commission and charges which we have to collect. Fixed or pro rata basis fee structure according to tariff of the according to the tariff of charges, right? Right. So I have given some notes. Refer URC 522. When we are reading, right, we have to read Article 5, presentation, then Article 6, whether it's DP or DA, right? Article 7 addresses the release of commercial documents. Then Article 8, it can on occasion be the case that a remitting bank instruct either the collecting bank or the drawee to create its own documents. Right? Okay. Quiz time. I told you every time, whenever possible, I used to ask certain questions from you. Can one of you answers this question? An exporter is approached by a new foreign buyer. Always when you get a question like this, you have to read between the lines.
So advance payment?
An exporter is approached by a new foreign buyer. But this buyer is unable to provide either a satisfactory credit reference or a letter of credit. මාර කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක් නේද? ඒක කියවල බලුවම හොඳටම තේරෙනවා. LCA කරන්න බෑ. LCA කරන්න ෆැසිලි මේ ලිමිට්ස් වල. ලිමිට් එකක් ගන්න ඒකට සල්ලි නෑ. ඉගෙන කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක්. ඉගෙන කස්ටමර් කෙනෙක්. රයිට්? එන ක්‍රේට් ඒකට ආයේ accounts එකත් එච්චර හොඳට දුවන්නේ නෑ. ඒ කියන්නේ ක්‍රේට් වලට ආවේ නැත්තේ.
Documents against payment.
Documents against payment. What method of trading is appropriate for this transaction? One, girls mention advance payment. You say documents against payment. Any other? Any other? Oh, දෙකයි නිතුල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. කියන්නේ
So since the buyer is not knowing party, I think it should be advance payments.
yes.
New foreign buyer. It's a not knowing party, no? So it should be advance payment.
Yes, answer is correct. We're new buyer, right? And buyer is unable to provide any satisfactory credit reference. Another issue. Another issue. So you have to be careful. Best thing is to ask him to send us the money in advance, then I will send the goods. Wisdom.
Sir, option B.
Option B.
D. The last one.
That means above B and C.
Yes.
Any other guesses? Any other guesses?
Answer B. B for ball.
B for ball. The buyer is creditworthy, but has a record of slow payment. What's your name, brother?
Kevin.
Kevin. Who gave the answer D?
Answer Swati.
Swati. Okay. Swati, why did you go for D?
So, option C, since the country has a to the export.
Probably he can pay. There is some buyer's risk. There is some buyer's risk under C. If you see the buyer's risk, right? If you see a buyer who is a risky guy, but there is a market for the goods in the buyer's country. This is what a lot of people are making the mistake. Right? අපිට මේක ගන්න පුළුවන් හොඳම option එක තමයි only B. The buyer is credit worthy but has a record of slow payment. Never mind, but we will get the money. We will get the money. Is credit worthy. But if there's a risk of the buyer, then we should not touch that. Right? So the correct answer is B, number 2. List on 3. Which payment method would suit it best?
C.
C. Collection.
Answer
60-day term bill.
60
Yes.
days term.
Yes, answer is correct. Collection, 60 days term bill. Because with its excellent contacts, it expects to be able to sell the goods within 2 to 3 weeks. I think, I mean, say, after 60 days, after Hamuna, after shape and the collection, side bill out there. Right? Okay. Good. Number 4. In the collection, who is the principal?
The exporter.
A. B. Sorry. Number 5. West Bank has received a collection from South Bank. Then Liagan. West Bank has received a collection from South Bank. West Bank can account there? South Bank can account there.
West Bank is collecting bank and South Bank is remitting bank.
South Bank is remitting bank. Very good. Right? One of his overseas correspondent bank for presentation to one of its customers. For whom is West Bank acting in this transaction? To whom is West Bank acting in this transaction? Cardinal.
For South Bank, answer B.
Answer B, sir.
Correct? Any other answers? Any other answers?
So what about D? Last one.
Yes, above B and C. That's the correct answer. Last one. Because they are responsible for the instruction of the South Bank as well as the exporter of the goods. Right? Correct answer is B and C. Right. Make a எல்லாம் fill up break ஆகாம உங்களோ then shall we come back at 3:10? Right? We'll have a small break and come back at 3:10. Meanwhile, you can do the questions. Right? The questions here. Okay. Then make it a me anda pe. Agrotech in UK are shipping farm machinery valued at GBP 100,000 to a new customer in France. The buyers are not willing to pay in advance. Of the remaining payment methods, which do you think Agrotech would prefer? But the buyers are not willing to pay in advance. So advance payment is out. Of the remaining payment methods, which do you think Agrotech would prefer? When a question like this comes, you have to read the questions and you have to read between the lines. Agrotech in UK are shipping farm machinery valued at GBP 100,000 to a new customer in France. New customer, right? He got with a new customer. Right. What the uttare?
So answer D.
D.
Yeah. Answer D. D for doll.
Answer.
So I think it's answer
C.
C.
Yeah, it's letter
So
of
I think it's answer B. B for ball.
Answer B.
letter of
So I'll
credit.
go with B. B for
B.
Bravo.
Answer C.
Answer C. Then A is given at the.
So if it's a new customer, we can't go for a letter of credit. I think the best answer is documentary collection.
If it's,
Yeah, I
a new,
agree, sir.
if it's a new customer, we can't go for a letter of credit. Why?
We don't know that it's credit worthiness.
But the bank guarantees.
Yeah, there
Bank
you
will
are.
pay.
I don't know. I don't know who gave that answer. Girl connect. And on the make answer arguments. අපි ක්ලාස් අපි රන් වෙනවා ඕක මම ආසම වෙන්නේ වගේ ඔයගලගේ පන්ති හොඳයි ඔයගලගේ පන්ති හොඳයි එක්කෙනෙක් කෙනෙක්ම කිව්වා the new customer so not letter of trade කවුද එක්කෙනෙක් නම් කිව්වා මම දන්නේ in that case the letter of trade is the most important thing because the most appropriate one because bank is giving a guarantee.
Yeah. Bank will pay.
Yes. So the best answer is C. Are multiple choice questions? You get 10 questions as your first question again, exam again. This is the most difficult thing. Huh? Don't think it is easy. Multiple choice. All answers are equally correct. They make a B, C, D. තුනම ඒක අතහැරලා දාන්න. ඕපන් account නම් ජීවිතේට කරන්නේ new customer කෙනෙක්ට අපි. Right? එතකොට B, C, D තුනම it goes very closely. The most appropriate one is letter of credit because the thing is documentary collection with because of the new customer we don't know what type of a customer. We might not receive the money. Right? Here, if it is LC, then at least there is a bank guarantee. Okay. Answer is C. List on 7. Which of the following statements are true and which are false? In a collection, a bank gives a prior payment undertaking to an exporter on behalf of an importer.
False, sir. That is should be false.
That is false. Very good. B. A documentary collection provides a means whereby an exporter may retain control over goods that have been dispatched by sea.
That is also false, no, sir? Yeah, you can't do.
That is also false. Any other answers? The documentary collection provides a means
True, sir. True.
whereby an exporter may retain control over the goods that have been dispatched by sea. Given dispatched by sea. If it is dispatched by sea, then what is the document?
Bill of lading.
Bill of lading.
Bill of lading is a title document.
Yeah.
So then the answer is true. Answer is true. කලබල වෙන්න එපා. Who prepares a bill of exchange?
The drawer.
Drawer.
Drawer. Who is that?
Export.
Exporter.
Principal.
Match the following parties in a bill of exchange. මේක නම් ඔයගලගේ නංගිලට දෙනේවා. තුනේ පන්තියේ ප්‍රශ්නයක්. කමන්නේ.
Exporter is the drawer. Drawer will be the importer.
Importer.
Carry is the exporter side.
Right. Which one of the following International Chamber of Commerce ICC publications governs dealing in documentary credit?
UCP 600.
SAP 600.
URC 522 governs the
Collections.
collections. Right? Okay, fine. Okay, part 1. Then we had to go for the part 2. Right now it's 3:05. Shall we come back at 3:15? 10 minutes gone. Break. Okay. We'll come back. We'll take a small break and we'll come back. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 26 people are there. Shall we start?
So, just a small request.
Yes.
Yeah, before the break, we discussed a few questions.
Uh-huh.
Can you we did a few true or false questions regarding the regarding a question from an exporter for a bill of lading. I think question number 7.
This one.
Yes. Can
Okay.
you please explain the reasoning for question B again, if you don't mind?
Question B. A documentary collection provides a means whereby an exporter may retain control over goods that have been dispatched by C. Read the question very carefully. I had never mentioned an exporter must retain control. May retain control. May or may not, right? That's a question mark, but may retain control over the goods that have been dispatched by C. When the goods are dispatched by C, the transport document which we are using is bill of lading. Bill of lading, whoever the people who are holding the bill of lading has the title to the goods. It's a title document, right? They have the control over the goods, if the person is holding. Okay. A documentary collection, if it is a DP, right? DP, exporter may retain. Yes. If it is a DP, then the instructions the exporter will give is you give the documents against payment. First, let them do the payment and then release the documents to the exporter. Right? Till then, who holds the goods? The goods have come from UK port, London port to Colombo. Right? And still the goods are lying in the port. The documents have come to Sampat Bank. Now, Sampat Bank, the customer has not cleared the goods yet. Who has the control over the goods even now? Who has the control over the goods even at that particular stage? Sampat Bank customer has not come to the bank to pay the money. Who has the control?
Exporter.
Exporter. The exporter has a control because the documents are with the bank. So if the customer doesn't come, then he will take other precautionary actions, such as either they can sell the goods to some other party, right? In case of need, or they can the protest කරන්න ඕනේ protest කරන්න bill of exchange එක accept කරලවත් මුකුත් නැහැ protest ඉන්නේ but they can request the bank, the exporter can request the presenting bank, can you please clear the goods and hand it over to so and so. So instead of the beneficiary, instead of the importer, parent and sons, they will change the instructions to release the documents to Fernando and Sons. Right? Then Fernando and Sons will pay the money and obtain the necessary documentation. So till then, the goods are controlled by the exporter. Is it okay? Are you happy with the answer?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the explanation.
Right. Okay. Right. We are continuing the documentary collection. Now we go a little bit deeper. The role of the remitting bank in monitoring and controlling of the collection process. Right. Now, this area is very important for trade practitioners who are practicing, because as a bankers, it's very important whether you are in the remitting bank or whether you are in the collecting bank or the presenting bank, you have a role to play. Now we are discussing about the bank's role, the role of the remitting bank in monitoring and controlling of the collection process. Right? The role of the exporter's bank is to follow his instructions to the method of collecting payment from the importer. Right? Now, the role of the exporter's bank, remitting bank, is to follow his instructions given by the exporter how to collect the payment from the importer, whether it's DP or DA. Any question on that? Right. There is no legal obligation for the bank to check documents, but it should warn its customer of defects that may cause delays. Right? This is, after all, part of good customer service. Now, this is what I was discussing with you earlier also. I told you I left Standard Chartered in 1997, but still the customers, my importers and exporters, whenever I meet them, they respect me because of this particular point. Right? මම ඒක තමයි මම ඕවා දාලා මගේ experience එකත් එක්ක මේ practitioners we are this is not DABF. DABF එකේ trade එකේ එක subject එකක්. ඒක නෙමෙයි මේ. This is for it's a higher diploma in international trade. So we have to see how best we can serve our customers. Then only they will come to you. Right? When they give some good comments on you to your bosses, right? Definitely, they will register those things, the good comments by the customers, to be reviewed at your next appraisal. They definitely will. ඒකෙන්ද අපි බලන්න කොහොමද අපි අපිත් හරියට කරලා කස්ටමර්ස්ලා සර්ව් කරලා බොසස්ලා ප්ලීස් කරලා බැංක් එකත් ප්ලීස් කරලා මම කොහොමද ඉහළට නගින්නේ හැම කෙනෙක්ටම තියෙන්න ඕන ඒ අයිඩියා එක I must go up. I must. Right? It's a competition. Whoever the best will win. Whoever the best will win. I'll recite one story. Right? I can remember during the horse racing period in Dubai. Dubai is very famous for horse racing. In Sri Lanka, we don't have that. But in Dubai, it's very, very popular. And the winning horse and the owner, the Dubai horse racing, the winner will get $6 million. 6 million dirhams, $6 million dirhams. 6 million dirhams කියන්නේ it's about අපි මේ කරලා ගත්තොත් එහෙම 1.6 million dollars. 1.6 million dollars for the winning horse and the owner. Once I saw, I have witnessed that race, right? One race, both the first and second were together in the last lap. එක ළඟටම එකටම හිටියා. එකටම හිටියේ. අපිත් දැන් බලන් ඉන්නවා දෙන්නම එකටම පාස් වුණේ. දෙන්නම එකට touch කළා. But we had to select the winner. So they මොකද මේ රිවර්ස් කර මේ බැලුවා ෆෝටෝ ෆිනිෂ් එකක්. බලනකොට අර අස්සයාගේ අර හොම්බේ අර කෙරෝල තියෙන කළු පාටට නාහය උඩ ලොකුවට තියෙන පැච් එක දෙන්නම එකටම ෆිනිෂ් කළේ. මේගොල්ලෝ මේ රීප්ලේස් ඔක්කොම ගිහිල්ලා ආපහු බලනකොට හරියටම රිවයින්ඩ් කරලා බලුවහම එක්කෙනෙක්ගේ අර හොම්බේ කළු කෑල්ල ඒ කියන්නේ අඟල් දෙකක විතර තුනක විතර මේකක් එයා ටච් කරනවා අනිත් එකට කලින්. අපි නේක ඩයිස් වලට අපි දැක්කම නෑ අපිට පේන්නේ නෑ. From nේක ඩයිස් you can see. So the price money was $1.6 million. For the second guy, it was $50,000. Just imagine. දෙන්නම එකටම complete කළා. දෙන්නම both are super. Right? එකටමයි. There are $1.6 million and $50,000. So this we can apply to our day-to-day life. In the bank also, you all are working together. Promotions are limited, right? You have to do better than the other one and try to get the opportunity, right? Try to get that opportunity. That is very important. They can be customers and serve. So when we talk about the legality of documentary collection, there's no legal obligation for the bank to check the documents. That is remitting bank. They don't have any legal obligation. Whatever given by the exporter, they are doing a post office job. The post office එක අපි ලියමු කියලා බලන්නේ නැහනේ. post office එක අපි ලියමු කියලා බලන්නේ නැහැ. අපි බලන්නේ මුද්‍රේ ගහලා තිබ්බනම් ලියමු post කළා. එච්චරයි. ලියමු කියවන්නේ. Right? ඒ වගේ they are doing the post office job. But the more practical thing and more appropriate, right? The best thing is to give them a better customer service. So for that, you must just scan the thing briefly, right? ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ මේ ඇස් දෙක පුරුදු කරගන්න ඒකට. Just to go through it. Don't spend hours and hours. Maximum 1 minute, 2 minutes. 1 or 2 minutes to scan the documents. Tak, gala. Just go through it and see whether the documents are in order. And are there any defects that may cause delays? Right? Then we can advise the customer. Sometimes, now for example, Bajaj company in India, if you say Bajaj, they manufacture Bajaj three-wheelers. They manufacture Bajaj scooters. They manufacture Bajaj motorbikes. All Bajaj. Right? Then the instead of Bajaj three-wheelers, right? If we have submit a bill of lading or some document relating to Bajaj scooters, then there will be a problem when they go to clear the goods. According to the rules and regulations, Remitting Bank you can't blame Remitting Bank. They have no obligation to check. They are doing post office job. But as a true banker, right? If you notice that, and if you tell the customer and ask the customer to correct that or to bring us the correct document to replace that one, the customer will be very happy with you, because that will definitely save a lot of unnecessary delays for the customer. Right? Good customer service, number one, right? The collection order. Now, when we are sending the collection, the remitting bank, we have to send the collection documents along with the collection order. The collection order means the remitting bank will give instructions to the collecting bank or the presenting bank that we are sending you these documents. According to these documents, please release the documents to the importer and pay us the money, or whatever the instructions they will give. Right? Now, if you allow them to write the thing in their own letterheads to give the instructions, the same instructions, they will give in different manner. They got the instructions. And even the love letters right? We have to have a standard format. So there is a standard format. We call that standard format the collection order. I hope you people have seen that. Now I will show it one sample and we'll discuss it. And that will encourage the customer to use the collection order form issued by the bank whenever they submit the document, right? It will make it simple for the exporter to give processing instructions clearly and completely. Precise information, precise instructions, right? Then payments type for banks to transfer the instructions to their covering schedule, which they send to the collecting bank. Banks are lazy. Covering schedule instructions. Right? Tick the terms and conditions are printed on the back of the collection order. By signing the form, the exporter agrees to be bound by the provisions of URC 522, right? That the bank is not liable for errors made by the collecting bank. Right? Everything is there. Shall I show you sample one? Okay, now save kara dibba. Can you see this one? Can you see this?
Yes, cancer.
Yeah, export trade collection, negotiation instructions, right? Okay. This is the standard format used by most of the banks, right? Some banks, bank to bank, it can be, there may be small changes, but basically this is the one. So we give specific and precise instructions, right? Here only to tick the parties, negotiation under documentary credit. Ekada, Jonathan, if it is under DC, negotiations under users DC, right? Then financing under DP or DA, payment to us after proceeds received under DPDA, right? We'll have to highlight or tick. Then draw over beneficiary, beneficiary's full name. They are the people who will fill this fund, right? If the beneficiary's full name, we'll have to say Per and Sons, PO Box, 1212, like that, right? Then draw V of the applicant. If it is LC, it is applicant. If it is collection, draw V. Draw V is the importer. Then the importer's address and the description. Then collecting bank's name and address, right? According to the instructions, we had to give the instructions to the remitting bank. We have to mention the collecting bank because you are the one who knows about the collecting bank, the exporter, right? So exporter will request the remitting bank to send the documents to this particular collecting bank. So you have to give the collecting bank instructions, name, address, fax numbers, everything. Then if there's any invoice numbers, right? Everything is there. A brief description of the goods, whether it's garments, tea, cinnamon, right? Whatever the thing here. Then the important thing is number of documents attached. Number of documents attached here. Number of documents attached. The drafts, whether it's 1 or 2, right? Then customs consular invoices, right? The make it in drafts, key commercial invoice, how many copies? 2 copies or 3 copies. Then custom consular invoice, nothing, blank tibba. Certificate of origin, yes, 2 copies, right? Inspection certificate, if they have given 2 copies, 2 copies, right? A number of copies gonna, Then comes the instructions. Instructions for the collecting bank, right? A, release documents against payment. If it is DP, you have to just tick it. Tick karna. Right? A. You got a method. Release documents against acceptance. DA. Right? Acceptance payment may await arrival of carrying vessel. ඔක්කොම අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් immediately අපි pay කරනවද whether we have to wait till the arrival of carrying vessel. Then we talk about whether to do protest or do not protest. Everything is there. Only thing you have to tick, right? Then you have to sign here and signed by the customer. And when we receive the documentation along with this covering letter, we verify the signature. SV signature verified. We verify the signature by the bank, right? And we put all our reference numbers and all those things. Api bank register. Everything will be done on the basis of these instructions. Then there's no hanky-panky. There's no hanky-panky. People knows, okay, apita me ambiguous instructions given, then no, right? We don't have to give, right? What to do on receipt of a collection order? Okay, now you will receive the collection order duly filled by the customer, drawer, along with the documents. Now, when you receive the thing, what you have to do? There are several simple tasks to be done, right? I request the trade guys to adhere to this. Then you are doing a good job, perfect job, right? There are several simple tasks to be done. One is check the completeness of the collection order details. But is it complete? Name and addresses, shipment details, instruction payment terms. You have to check whether it's correct. Disposal of proceeds. Right? Verify the signatures on the collection order. Verify that all documents listed on the collection order are attached. Verify that all documents listed on the collection order are attached. Assign internal control number. Assign internal control number. Right? Register receipt of the bill. We had to, when we were clerks, we used to enter in a register. Then in the register, we immediately log into the system, allocate the number and everything. Then timestamp the collection order and return the duplicate to the customer. Right? ගත්ත ගමන් කෙලින්ම timestamp කරලා customer දෙන්න එපා. customer කියන්න පොඩ්ඩක් counter එකේ යව විනාඩියක් හිටියට කමක් නැහැ. විනාඩියක් හිටියට කමක් නැහැ. හැබැයි විනාඩියට වඩා වැඩියෙන් ගන්න බෑ. තව කෙනෙක් පිටිපස්සේ ඉන්නවා customer ගේ. ඒකෙන්ද ටග් ගාලා පුළුවන් තරම් ඉක්මනට මේ අම්පම් බලන්න යන්න විතර ඉතින් පුරුදුනහම මේක 15 seconds වත් යන්නේ නැහැ. 15 seconds වත් යන්නේ නැහැ. ටග් ගාලා බැලුවා seal එක ගහුවා copy එක දුන්නා duplicate එක. Check the consistency of the document. Right? If the collection order needs to be amended, the amendment must be signed by the customer's authorized signatory or confirmed in writing. Right? Okay. Then check-in documents. We mentioned that we are not checking documents under collection. Then you must be wondering why this guy is, what is he talking? Checking documents. This is not checking documents like LCs. This is to check whether the docs are in order. Right? No legal obligation for banks to check documents. Here, I specifically mentioned, right? But we should warn our exporting customers of delays that might be caused by incomplete documentation. If there's incomplete documentation, if they have given us the documents without the BL, without the transport documents, obviously there will be a delay. When we send the documents to the collecting bank, when the collecting bank gives the documents to the importer, without the transport document, how can he clear the goods? Right? So you can't blame remitting bank, you can't blame collecting bank. Then to whom? So as banks, we have neglected our obligations. Right? That is pure negligence. That is pure negligence. You can check when you are reading the articles, Article 9 of URC 522. Article 9. Article 9 very clearly says good faith and reasonable care. I will quote Article 9. Article 9 says banks will act in good faith and exercise reasonable care. Then nobody can blame us. Right? Make sure the bill of exchange is correctly drawn, signed, and endorsed. Bill of exchange collection, you can't draw it on a bank. It has to be drawn on the drawee, and it has to be signed and endorsed. The documents should be consistent with each other. For example, the invoice amount should be equal to the draft amount.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
If the bill of exchange is drawn on bank, what would be the bank's standing?
In collection, we are asking customers not to draw the bill of exchange on banks, because then the banks will be obligated. The collecting bank will be obligated to get dragged into this whole scenario. Otherwise, bank is not liable for anything. But if it is drawn on the bank, then the bank has to endorse it and give it to the. We can endorse it. We can endorse it and give it to the party concerned. Right? So you might be thinking, so in that way, this is much better now, because until the bank endorses the bill of exchange, the customer has no title. The importer has no title. So we make sure that we collect the money from the customer, and then only we'll give them. Right? The reason is, if the customer doesn't come to the bank, then the documents are in order of the bank. Right? Through demurrage, bank consignee is the bank. It will be a problem. That is why we said we have to ensure the documents are correctly drawn. Right? The invoice amount, the draft should be equal to the draft amount. If the invoice amount is US dollars 10,050 and the draft is for US dollars 10,000, there is a discrepancy. Right? Is it clear? Right. Then all documents mention the same goods. All documents mention the same goods. Mankiwe, Bajaj 3-wheelers, it should be all Bajaj 3-wheelers. And then Bajaj motorbikes, right? Okay. Documents requiring the export customer's signature, such as bill of exchange, must be signed. That vital documents are not missing. For example, BL 3 copies. So all 3 copies should be mentioned. Right? Check invoices against which Incoterm applies. Right? If the Incoterm says 4B, then we have to see the invoices are also for this particular Incoterm. Right? Then ensure instructions on collection order are logical. Collection order is DP kela. Collection order is DP kela. Documents against payment. Collection order is documents against payment. Hey, the draft they have submitted is 90 days from shipment date. 90 days from shipment date. So it's contradictory. Right? Okay. Ensure customers sign the collection order form. Very important. We have to ensure the customer sign the collection order form because he is the one who has given the instructions. So he must take the responsibility for that. Any questions on this one? I know you must be having some practical issues. This is the forum to discuss that. ළමයි ටිකත් හොඳයි. මට කාලෙකින් හම්බෙච්ච හොඳ ළමයි ටිකක්. පොඩි crowd එකක්. Normally my class is about 75-80. මේ පාර තමයි රාමඩාම් පොඩි crowd එකක් හිටින්නේ. බෑ හොඳයි. මම ආස මේ ඔක්කොම CDCS කරලා හොඳට පාස් වෙනවා. I will help you.
So, just one question. When submitting a bill of lading, is it mandatory for the customer to provide 3 originals?
Yes. Yes. Can somebody tell me the repercussions? Can somebody tell me the repercussions? Not 3 originals, you have to say all originals, right? Because sometimes bill of lading will be issued with 5 copies. 5 copies, there are all 5, right? Normally when 3 copies. Bill of lading, 3 originals, 3 originals may enroll. Can somebody tell me the risk part of it? I said yes. Otherwise, what is the risk part?
Exporter can surrender the BL.
What do they?
Exporter can surrender the bill of lading.
Exporter can
Surrender the bill of lading in order to. They can surrender it, right?
I didn't get the first answer correctly, but there's something wrong because of the communication. The subject exporter can surrender.
Yeah, surrender the bill of lading.
Surrender the bill of lading.
That's why we are asking for the originals, right?
Yeah, because your answer is not perfect, but up to a certain extent, yes. Yes. If we send, if the bill of lading is the BL, 3 originals, right? Then all 3 originals should be sent to the collecting or presenting bank to deliver to the customer. Otherwise, if the exporter has sent 2 originals to along with the documents, and 1 original has gone directly to the importer, then importer can clear the goods without coming to the bank and paying the bill, nothing, right? එයාට පුළුවන් ගිහිල්ලා delivery order එක දාලා clear කරගන්න. It's very risky, right? Because of that, all 3 copies are important. So we have to make sure that all 3 copies are submitted. Have you got the answer to your concern, my dear, earlier? Or the කතා කළේ?
Yes, sir. Yeah, Kevin.
Okay. Right. Check invoices against which income terms applies. Etik abang kiwa neda. Oh. How about make it in questions about that? It's great. I think you people are.
So why they issue 3 originals? They can issue 2 originals and along with the 2 copies, and they can send 2 originals to the bank, no?
Yes, they can. It is up to the shipping company. Or else they can issue one original. Right?
Also, sir, according to UCP 600, 3 originals are mandatory, right? In
No.
most cases.
No.
No.
UCP 600, they have never mentioned 3 originals. They say all originals.
Okay, so the number is not specified.
Yeah, number is specified. Number is not specified.
Specified, okay.
Right?
So surrendering is done by the shipping line or the exporter? Surrendering of BL is done by the shipping line or a exporter?
Surrendering of BL will be done by the importer. Importer will surrender the BL to the shipping line.
Shipping.
Right? Importer will surrender the BL to the shipping line. Otherwise, if you issue 3 BLs, 3 originals, and 2 has been sent to the presenting bank, and 1 has gone direct to the importer's bank, the importer can get the goods, surrendering the BL to the shipping company and get the delivery order. Right? කවුරුකත් දන්නෙත් නැහැ. බැංකේ බලන් ඉන්නවා මේ ડોකියුමන්ට්ස් ටික තියාගන්න. බඩු නැහැ. බඩු ක්ලියර් වෙලා ගිහිල්ලා. ඒක රිස්කි. Right? Okay. Covering schedule. If the documents are in order and instructions complete, the remitting bank chooses the collecting bank, if not specified by the exporter, a branch or correspondent bank in the importer's country, in the same city, town, if possible. Attention is drawn to subarticle 5D and 11A of the URC 522. Right? 5D and 11A. P. Okay. What the 5A can be? ඔයාලට පේනවද පුතා මේවා?
Yes, sir.
Right. 5A. 5A, Article 5, presentation. For the purposes of this article, presentation is the procedure whereby the presenting bank makes the documents available to the drawee as instructed. Right? The collection instruction should state the exact period of time which any action is to be taken by the drawer. Expressions such as first, prompt, immediate, and the like should not be used in connection with the presentation or with reference to any period. ඒක පැහැදිලි. අපි නිකන් කියන්න හොඳ නැහැ. Present the documents promptly, immediately. ඒවා කියන්න බෑ. මට immediate කියන ඒවා වෙන කෙනෙක්ට immediate නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මගේ තියෙන promptness එක වෙන කෙනෙක්ට නැහැ. right? ඒකින්ද අපි ඒවා එහෙමම යන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ වගේ දේවල් කරන්නේ නැහැ. right? අපි ඔය ගැන අපි වෙනම කරමු. මේක බලමු අපි. Five D එක තිබුණේ. මම 5A එක බැලුවේ 5D එක. 5D එකේ තියෙනවා එකක් කරකවන්න කියන පාර නැත්නම් වෙනදට 5D. For the purpose of giving effect to the instructions of the principal, the remitting bank will utilize the bank nominated by the principals of the collecting bank. In the absence of such nomination, the remitting bank will utilize any bank of its own or other bank's choice in the country of payment or acceptance or in the country where other terms and conditions have to be complied with. For the purpose of giving effect to the instructions of the principal, the remitting bank will utilize the bank nominated by the principal. Always when we are presenting, the presenting bank has to be nominated by the principal. Right? ඉතින් තමයි මේ අපේ මොකද්ද presenting bank එක මොකද්ද collecting bank එක කියලා අපි දැනගෙන කටයුතු කරන්න වෙන්නේ. ඒක පැහැදිලිවම තියෙන්න ඕන. Prepares the covering schedule on the basis of the collection order, together with the instructions on how to send payment to the remitting bank. How to send payment to the remitting bank. Usually by telex, unless the amount is small. Usually by telex, unless the amount is small. Right? The collection instructions should clearly indicate that the collection has been undertaken subject to the ICC rules URC fundable. Very important. The collection instructions should clearly indicate that this is subject to URC fundable. එහෙම නැත්නම් collection එක you will not get the cover under the provisions of articles of URC fundable. Mail the schedule and bill by registered mail courier to the collecting bank. Dialysis, the date for chasing the bill if payment or advice of acceptance has not been received. Right? Dialysis is very important. Those days we did it, but now your system generates the reports. That's easy for people. Right? Somebody asked me why always 3 copies or 2 copies or 3 or 4 copies of BL. Why can't we issue 1 copy? Right? The reason is, even from the past, we used to send the documents by airmail. Courier තිබුණෙත් නෑ. මම trade කරනකොට trade පටන් ගන්නකොට මුල් හරි courier තිබුණෙත් නෑ. There was no courier. airmail යන්නේ. airmail යනකොට අපි හිතමු අපි payments මේ documents ටික ඇරියේ Malaysian Airlines. ඒ මම Malaysian Airlines ගත්තේ. යනවා. මම Malaysian Airlines ගත්තේ. Malaysian Airlines කීයක් කඩන් වටනවද පහුගිය කාලෙදනේ? මතකද විදියට plane crashes තිබුණා 4ක් හරි 5ක් හරි. ඒ මම ජෝක් එකට ගත්තේ Malaysian Airlines. ඒකෙන්ද. If you send the documents by Malaysian Airlines, if the plane crashes, then if you have sent all documents in one lot, we won't be able to clear the goods. Look at us now. Our documents එක මූදේ පා වෙනවා. Right? මේක crash ලා වැටලා. Those days, what we did was, we sent one document sent by Malaysian Airlines. Sorry, Malaysian Airlines නෙමෙයි අරින්නේ. මම බීලුට කිව්වේ. Malaysian Airlines අපි ටිකක් යවුවා. Second lot එක after one day, not same day, after one day, we send it through another agent. Maybe KLM or Air Lanka or something. We send the second lot. That's the courier තිබ්බේ නෑ. Even if the first one get lost, we have a documents with the second lot so that we can clear the consignment. Right? Okay, that's the reason. Review of all export collection bills and irregular and past due export bills. Nowadays, it's very easy. You can get a computer printouts of all the export collection, past due and irregular bills. Right? We have to go through those printouts on a weekly basis and see, scrutinize, and the acknowledge from the collecting or presenting banks to ensure that they contain no disclaimer which may place the import customer at risk. Very important. Now, when the import customer receives the documents, normally they send a feedback. They send, please be advised that we have received the set of documents for $100,000 on this particular customer. It's right. We have just an acknowledgement. Right? එතකොට එහෙම acknowledge කරේ නැත්නම් we'll have to follow it up. Normally they have to acknowledge. Acknowledgement එකක් කියන එක අපි ඉස්සරහට දාන එකනේ. තේරුණා නේද? acknowledgement එක අපි හැමතිස්සෙම අපි ඉල්ලනවා. ඉල්ලුව ගම අපි දාලා යවම ඒගොල්ලෝ දෙනවා. At regular intervals, export collection bill records should be reviewed to see what further action need to be taken. And the file should be diarized forward appropriately. It's very important. At regular intervals, we have to check the export collection bill records to review, to see what further action needed. Where we can do it, what we can do it, what action we have to take. All those things we can get it organized, right? And all the files should be diarized properly, right? මගේ එක habit එකක් තියෙනවා. Whatever the bank I'm working even at the head of trade. I used to go through these computer generated reports. Right? एक मारा management tool लगा. A lot of managers, a lot of officers, they don't use it. බලන්න ඉතින්. එතන ඔක්කොම දැන් computerized කරලා නැහැ. අර වගේ වෙන් අපිට we can go I mean extra mile. We can go extra mile. And we can identify the issues before we face those issues. In advance, we can identify the issues. Right? ඒකෙන්ද මේවා හරි important. How to monitor again. At regular intervals, right? So that means end of every month end, okay? All unaccepted, unpaid bills, which may be considered irregular or past due, may be reviewed under executive direction to see. Actually, this has to be done by the manager, but even if they are not doing that, even you can do it and you can harass it and you can highlight it to them. Then they will be very happy, right? Why these bills have outstanding? Why they are outstanding? Why it has not been accepted? Why it has not been paid? Right? Eva, we will have to take the appropriate action. What further action, if any, needs to be taken? We'll have to see to ensure that the charges are recovered in a timely fashion. Charges recover karaganda godak kal inda ba. Ippanno ganda. Right? Whether agreement of the export customer can be obtained to remove the items from the bank's records. Whether agreement of the export customer can be obtained to remove the items from the bank's record. If they have received the money directly outside the banking channels, sometimes they will inform us, okay, this particular transaction, we have received the money directly from the buyer, so therefore you can drop that item from your system. Right? The collecting and the presenting bank. The collecting and the presenting bank. The decision to handle the collection is made subject to the following concerns. Right? Is the importer drawee a customer of the collecting bank? Does the transaction falls within the ordinary course of business for such a customer? Very important. Does the transaction fall within the ordinary course of business for such a customer? Now, for example, we'll take EH Kure. EH Kure, what are they doing? EH Kure or IT Kure? What are they dealing? They are dealing with what?
They deal with furniture, sir.
Yes, they are dealing with furniture. They are furniture people. Yes, correct. Jingle same yani. Yes, correct. They are furniture people. They are dealing with furniture. Now, you have received a collection bill. Drawee is EH Kure. Drawee is EH Kure, importer EH Kure. They are importing bee onions and potatoes. They are importing bee onion and potatoes. Is it all right or is something fishy? Hmm?
Naturally, it's something fishy, sir.
Yeah, actually something fishy. නැත්තම් මං හිතුවේ මේ ඔගොල්ලෝ කියයි කියලා no. We need bee onions and potatoes. ඒවා මේ අල්මාරිය ඇතුළට ගහනවා කියලාවා. අල්මාරියේ four corners වලට අපි ඒවා එල්ලලා තියෙනවා. අර මිරිස් කරල් එල්ලනවා වගේ. කාර් එකේ ඉස්සරහා. Right? එහෙම නැහැ. They are not in the ordinary course of business for that particular customer. Then we have to be very careful. Why they are importing? Right? Then any restrictions on the merchandise covered? Any restrictions on the merchandise covered? We let her call the customer. Any restrictions like අපි මේව ගත්තොත් එහෙම restricted item එකක් ගන්න එක කියන්න බලන්න. Tires මේ දවස්වල tires restricted. Right? එහෙම තියෙද්දි තියෙනවා collection bill. Importing tires. So we should know. We should know. If an import license is required, do the documents have one? Does a transaction a potential risk for the collecting bank? Very important. Will there be any difficulty in collecting bank charges? Right? Okay. According to ICC 522 Article 12A, bank must verify that the documents received appear to be as listed in the collection instructions and have no further obligation in this respect. Very important. As per the Article 12A, the collecting bank must verify that the documents received appear to be as listed in the collection instructions. Collection instructions documents right? And they have no further obligations in this respect. Right? Banks must also exercise reasonable care. ICC 522, Article 9. Exercise reasonable care. The banks are regarded as experts in handling trade documents, and if the importer loses money because of some fault in the documents, he may be able to sue the bank for negligence. Right? For example, not taking reasonable care to protect his interest. Okay? Right.
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
By ICC 522, are we referring to URC 522?
Yeah. ICC 522, URC 522.
Okay.
Same thing. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Collecting banks, role and obligations. Now we were talking about the remitting bank, now the collecting bank. Collecting bank, that is whose bank? Collecting bank? Collecting bank is whose bank?
Importers Bank?
Importers bank, right? It does not guarantee payment of the bills, except in evaluation. Don't worry, evaluation I'll discuss. Right? That evaluation means the importers bank is also giving an undertaking to pay. The collecting bank presents the bill of the importer for payment or acceptance. Either they will pay the bill or either they will accept the acceptance. Right? The collecting bank advises fate of the bill to the remitting bank. We have to do it on a regular basis. Very important. Nowadays, a lot of banks are not doing this. Right? We have to inform the fate of the bill to the remitting bank. Right? As per Article 26 for rules on advice of fate. Mamanang first fate reminder again after 10 days. 10 and 15 days in order. Right? ඊට පස්සේ අපිට 14 days වලින් එකක් ගියා කියලා first එක 14 days ගියා නම් second එක තවත් 14 days වලින් යනවා. ඒ වගේ regular intervals යනවා. third එකෙන් පස්සේ අපිට we have to take a decision. We can't keep it open for indefinite time period, right? But we have to send the reminders. If the bill is unpaid or unaccepted, the collecting bank arranges storage and insurance for the goods as per the remitting bank's instructions on the schedule. Article 10B and Article 25. අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාට අපි storing and storing කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ responsibility එක අපි ගන්න නැහැ. කෙලින්ම අපි කියනවා no, we are not taking this responsibility කියලා. We inform the remitting bank. Protest the bill on behalf of the remitting bank. If the remitting bank schedule states protest. Article 24. Right? Shall we read these articles? Article 10B, Article 25, and Article 24. One is 10B. 10B. Documents versus goods, services, and performance. 10B says banks have no obligation to take any action in respect of the goods to which a documentary collection relates, including storage and insurance of the goods, even when specific instructions are given to do so. Banks will only take such actions if and to the extent that they agree to do so in each case. Right? Notwithstanding the provisions of subarticle 1C, this rule applies even in the absence of any specific advice to this effect and to this effect by the collecting bank. Right? So we have to be very careful as a collecting bank how we are taking the action. Recently also I saw one of those instructions, right? But whether we are going to adhere to those instructions or not is a different thing. But this is the best thing. So these people might ask you, the remitting bank will ask you, to the collecting bank, they will ask you to release the get the goods released and insure them and keep it with you. Why should we do? These are additional things, right? And we are not getting money for that. Okay, they will say, okay, we will pay you for that service. It will be an additional thing, right? The other one was Article 24, protest. Protest, Article 24. The collection instruction should give specific instructions regarding protest or other legal process in lieu thereof, in the event of non-payment or non-acceptance. right? In the absence of such specific instructions, the banks concerned with the collection have no obligation to have the documents protested or subject to the legal process in lieu thereof for non-payment or non-acceptance. Any charges and or expenses incurred by the banks in connection with such protest or other legal process will be for the account of party from whom the collection instructions was received. Protest. I'll explain to you in simple. Protest means sometimes in the I saw I think I gave you the sample collection order form. You can, when you go back to the banks on Monday, try to grab a collection order form which you give it to the customers, right? The customer will fill in complete calendar. Yes or no. Protest, yes or no. Now, protest means if there's any non-payment or non-acceptance, the customer is not coming forward, right? In a scenario like that, we can sue the customer. But it's a very, very lengthy process. It's a very lengthy process, right? Normally, when you do the protesting, if there's a delay or if there's a default, you have to do it within 24 hours. Within 24 hours, you have to file a case in the district courts. Very difficult. Therefore, the practical thing is within 24 hours, we can note the bill. We can note the bill of exchange. Noting means it has to be done by the notary public. Every bank, they have their notary public, right? Those notaries will note the bill. For that, you don't have to go to courts, right? After that, within a certain period, agreed by all the parties, we can file the case. Because of that noting part, we say noting and protesting. Noting and protesting. Okay. Normally, the procedure protesting is a very, very expensive remedial action. Very expensive. You may have to spend about $50,000, $60,000 to fight a case on protest. No use. They can be noting and protesting. I know HSBC Bank where I have worked, when we are sending the customer, right? When we receive the document, that, right? We immediately say, we acknowledge receipt of bill number, blah, blah. And please note, we will noting and protesting. We will not do noting and protesting. Right? Okay. Make harima rea away harima vidangana veda. Request further instructions from the remitting bank if there is a problem that is not covered by the instructions in the schedule. Okay. Once payment is received from the importer, the collecting bank remits the proceeds promptly to the remitting bank, less its charges. Right? Issuing shipping guarantee on collection transaction is risky and should be limited only for very good customers. Make a mama because I don't want to do shipping guarantees and mess up your right. Shipping guarantee ගැන කතා කරන්න යන්නේ නැහැ දැන්. මොකද මේක අපිට කතා කරන්න වෙනවා දිගට. Why it is not why it is risky, right? The main risk is we do only for limited good customers, very good customers. The reason is, unlike LCs of course, we have opened the LC and we are receiving the documents. Here we have not done anything based on the relationship between the buyer and the seller. The seller has sent the documents to us to be given to buyer. Right? The shipping guarantee issue කළ තිබුණොත් ඒ liability එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ liability එක අපිට කරගහන්න වෙනවා. ඒකෙන්ද අපි always we should not issue shipping guarantees on collection documents. Right? Right. Then receipt of collection. The pictures in the medication. අපි එක ප්ලේස් එකට නිකන් කරමු. ඒක අදියර ගන්න පුළුවන් කියලා බෑ. Receipt of collection. Date and time stamp the collection instructions that you do, right? Verify that the documents listed have been received. That's the only thing you have to check from the collecting bank's point of view, right? Inform the remitting bank should any documents be found missing. Inform pass entries to record the bill in a control account. This helps to keep track of the bill and also to keep a record of the number and the value of the bill. Right? Make a very important. Api dasla manually kare then system එකේ යනවා. Right? හදිස්සි අපි track කරගන්න ඕන නම් very easy. Stamp the back of the BL with the bank stamp, which says deliver to the order of which bank, to protect the banks against frauds. Right? The moment we receive the correction order along with the documents, if the what do you call this the BL document එක තියෙනවා නම් what we have to do is to immediately endorse it. Blank endorse කරන්න. Deliver to the order of Standard Chartered Bank. Then nobody can grab that and get the goods cleared, because then the customs will insist on our endorsement, the bank's endorsement. Horakam කරන්න බෑ. ඒකෙන්ද හොඳම දේ ගත්ත ගමන් deliver to the order of SCB කියන එක අපි දීලා අසං කරන් තියාගන්න ඕනේ. Right? If a shipping guarantee has been issued for release of the goods, send the bill of lading to the shipping company to redeem the shipping guarantee. If you have already released the goods by issuing a shipping guarantee. Then, with whatever the original document, whichever the original BL, you will have to send it to the shipping company and get the shipping guarantee cancelled.
So sorry to interrupt
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Now, sometimes in the absence of a bill of lading, we send a letter to the shipping line.
Mhm.
In that case, are we requesting them to do the same thing with the letter and the guarantee? They
What is,
endorse
what is what is the letter?
the letter say it confirms that in the absence of a delivery order or the original BL, we have issued a shipping guarantee to release goods.
Okay.
It's the we call it the shipping line confirmation letter. So is that also valid?
Yeah, that's valid because that's what you call a shipping guarantee.
Okay, okay. Because
Right?
we don't do the shipping guarantee letter all the time. We endorse invoices and we also send the BL. In the absence of BL only, we give the letter. That's my confusion.
No. If the BL is there,
Okay.
you endorse the BL and
Yes.
you endorse the shipping invoices.
Invoices, yeah.
That's it. Then there's no shipping guarantees.
Okay, okay. There's no letter also to give.
No letter, no shipping guarantee. The
Right.
shipping guarantee is needed
Mhm.
when the original BL is not there.
Got it. So, okay. That is when you call it a guarantee.
Guarantee. Then we indemnify. We indemnify uh, the shipping company that okay, you release the delivery order. You release a delivery order to this particular customer, and we take the responsibility of giving you the um, original BL when we
BL
receive.
when we receive it. Okay, okay, sir.
That is shipping guarantee. That is
Um,
shipping. And always, uh, if we receive the original documents, where we have already issued a shipping guarantee to clear the goods, that means goods have already been cleared, then we have to send that BL. We have to send one copy of the BL to the shipping company and get the bill of shipping guarantee ready, right? Cancel, right? Then
right.
note any special instructions on the schedule. For example, storage of goods, protest, etc. Highlight the schedule and note on the bill folder, right? If they says any special instructions to say storage of goods, if the guys are not coming forward, please clear the goods and store it. But my advice is immediately you have to go back to the remitting bank saying that we do not undertake any storing and insurance of the goods. Um, because as a bank, I don't have staff to send it to the harbor to clear the goods and then bring the goods to a warehouse. I don't have a warehouse in a bank, right? So we had to hire a warehouse. Why should we do? And will they pay us for the our actions? No. So point blank, you have to inform them we are not would be responsible for storing and insurance of goods. Finish. एक आपे job बेकार नहीं right? Delivery and settlement of import collection. Delivery and settlement of import collection. I think we'll put a stop there, right? We'll put a stop there. Delivery and settlement of import collection. We will discuss the thing next week. Bye. Next week, Uganda and Agota, Tina Godak, they will current. Number one, I'm going to discuss this. I'm going to finish this presentation So you have the presentation in your hand, go through it and get ready with the questions so that it will be very interesting class, right? And the other thing, from today's 19th, the next class will be on 26th, 19 to 26th. We have 7 days, right? How many? I hope මේ මුල දවස් ටිකේ දවසට දෙක ගානවත් ආටිකල්ස් කියවන්න පුළුවන්ද? කරමුද අපි? දවසට දෙක ගානේ ආටිකල්ස් කියවලා you will read at least 14 articles, 1 to 14. 1 to 14 එක කියවලා ඉන්න. So that when we are discussing the articles in detail, you are ready to absorb it, right? So 1 to 14 කරන්න වෙලාවක් නැත්තම් උදේට එකයි රැට එකයි බෙහෙත් බොනවා වගේ උදේට එකයි රැට එකයි එක කරන්න ගන්නකොට ග්‍රාන්ඩ් ට්‍රැක් එකට වැටේ, right? Okay, any questions? Any more questions before we wind up? Any more questions?